Today's lesson is extracurricular activities. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike.
Hi, everybody. I'm Roger, and today we're going to continue talking about extracurricular activities. These are things you can do in school besides attending all your classes, okay? So you may take math and science and sociology during the day, but after school, usually you can participate in some sort of extracurricular activity. Now, when I was in high school, we had various kinds of extracurricular activities. You could join the debate club, or you could go out for some kind of sport, or you could be in the chorus, or you could be in the marching band, or whatever. Those were all extracurricular activities. And last time we talked about Nick wanting to join the basketball team, so he was asking John some questions, and then Lily was asking Jeff about joining the guitar club.
That's right. So today we're going to turn our attention to a few other popular clubs that you might find in your school or might remember from your school days. And the first is the photography club. So we're sticking in the world of art, but we're moving from music to visual arts, and the photography club, I'm sure, is another very popular one. So let's check out our dialogue featuring Greg and Kate. 3. Photography club. Greg visits the photography club's office and asks some questions about the club. I love taking digital photos and uploading them to Instagram, but I'm also a big fan of film photography. Does the club offer darkroom developing lessons?
Yes, we have a darkroom and can teach you traditional developing techniques.
That's great! I'm excited to learn the darkroom process.
We also do joint outdoor shoots and exhibitions with other school clubs each year.
Oh, wow! What a cool opportunity to collaborate.
Yes, it's all about exploring different styles together. We meet Wednesdays at 5 o'clock if you're interested.
I'll be there at 5 on the dot then. Thanks!
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 photography， 它的意思是照相或是摄影业。例如 Louise teaches photography at art school. Louise 在艺术学校教摄影。或者 Tyson wants to learn more about photography so he can take better pictures. Tyson 想学更多摄影技巧，以拍出更好的照片。再来看到动词 collaborate， 表示合作。例如 The two artists decided to collaborate on a series of paintings. 这两位艺术家决定合力创作一系列的画作。或是 A pair of rappers will collaborate on an album together. 两名饶舌歌手将联手合作一张专辑。另外补充这个字的名词 collaboration， C-O-L-L-A-B-O-R-A-T-I-O-N collaboration， 有合作或是协作的意思。举例来说 The discovery was the result of a collaboration between two research groups. 该项发现是两个研究小组合作的结果。
Okay, so conversation 3 is about joining the photography club. Photography is the art and science of taking pictures. You have a camera and you take pictures and you make them look good. And of course, if you want to be a good photographer, then you might want to join the photography club. It's a little tricky with this word because the accent changes according to what word we're using. So a picture is called a photograph. There the accent is on the first syllable, but if you talk about the art and science of taking pictures, then that is photography. There, the accent is on the second syllable, and then the adjective form is photographic. There, the accent is on the third syllable, I believe.
That's right. And of course, a photographer is a person who takes the pictures. So you do have to be careful about that. So let's see what's going on here. Greg visits the photography club's office and asks some questions about the club. So this wasn't at the showcase or the fair, this sort of meet where all the students went to check out the different clubs at the school. No, this is a little bit later. Maybe Greg wasn't available to go to that meeting of the different clubs, and so he's visiting the office. Each club, I guess, has its own office in this school. That's a nice thing. And he's hoping to find someone there who's a member of the club and, answer some of these basic questions he might want to know about before he decides whether or not to join the club. So he begins by saying, I love taking digital photos photos and uploading them to Instagram, but I'm also a big fan of film photography. Very interesting. So he's kind of described himself and his interest in photography, what he likes about it, and the different aspects of photography that he's interested in learning more about and exploring. He loves taking digital photos and uploading them to Instagram, maybe using his camera on his phone, of course, or maybe using a digital camera. And you can, of course, add things to it. You can manipulate the photo. You can use Photoshop and that type of thing very easily. And he uploads them to Instagram. But he says he's also a big fan of film photography. So this is, again, taking pictures, but using the older technology, not using digital photos like we find on our camera, on our phone. This is using the old style of camera that used film, 35 millimeter film, probably. It's very kind of fun, but also a technology that is kind of becoming hard to come by. I know that a lot of places to get your films developed, your pictures developed using the old film technology, those are hard to find and possibly a little bit expensive, but a lot of people like it. You have a lot more artistic control, and it's also just kind of fun to use this older technology if you find that digital photos are not as romantic and not as exciting and interesting. Maybe then film photography is what you would be interested in doing. So he says, does the club offer darkroom developing lessons? Okay. So yes, to make your pictures come alive, come off the film that you took them on, you're going to have to develop them in a darkroom. And some of the older people listening might have tried this at school, might be aware of going into a darkroom with that red light on. That's to protect the images on the film from being exposed. And you use a different selection of chemicals in these baths, and you basically expose the film and then print it out on special photographic paper. This is a fairly simple process, but you do need some special equipment. And without that equipment, it can be very hard, if not impossible, to do. So he's kind of asking if the club has access to this older technology so that he can explore his interest in film photography.
Right, so we have the word develop here, and that's the word we use to talk about film when we wanted to have it processed. You would shoot a roll of film in your camera, and then you would take it to the processors, and they would develop your film for you. They would develop the film and then make prints from that film, and that's what working in the darkroom is all about. You load the film in the tank, and then you use the developer and the stop bath and the fixer, etc., and then you wash the film, and then later on you put the film in an enlarger, and you make prints from that. Oh, it's such a time-consuming process. I can't understand why people would actually want to do this when digital photography is so much easier. It's much more fun to experiment with Photoshop, but this is, of course, up to the individual. So yes, does the club offer darkroom developing lessons? And Kate says, yes, we have a darkroom and can teach you traditional developing techniques. So again, if you want to develop your own film, you need to have a darkroom to do that.
Very, very interesting. So they can actually help him learn about film developing and learn how to do film photography so he can get away from that very modern, convenient, but possibly slightly boring digital camera of his. He says, that's great. I'm excited to learn the darkroom process because, as we said, if you have an extra room in your home and you can block out all the light from the windows, you can make your own darkroom, but it isn't the type of thing most people will go through all the trouble of doing at home. So if you can find somewhere that you can do it, that is great. Kate has some more information that she thinks Greg might be interested in. So she adds, we also do joint outdoor shoots and exhibitions with other school clubs each year. So there are some different activities that involve the students getting away from the school, joining up with other schools that have their own photography clubs, and they do outdoor shoots. So they might go out to the woods and do nature shoots, very interesting shots away from the school and from student activities and things like that. And then they put on their own kind of show. They put on an exhibition with other school clubs. So they'll get all their best pictures and put them in sort of an art gallery type situation so people can come and look at wonderful pictures taken by talented students from a bunch of different schools across the city.
And Greg says, oh, wow, what a cool opportunity, what a cool chance to collaborate, which means to work together with other people for a common good. And yes, they can have these mutual exhibitions where everybody gets together and shows their work, and you can get some ideas and exchange information. And Kate says, yes, it's all about exploring different styles together. As you know, there are different ways to take pictures. You can have nature photography, portrait photography, etc., etc. And of course, people have different approaches to photography, so everybody can get together and explore those different styles together. And they meet on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. If you're interested, that's when we meet. So come on down, bring your camera. Maybe you've got a Nikon camera and you love to take photographs with that camera. Or maybe you've got an old Rolleiflex twin lens reflex camera. Or maybe one of the old View cameras or whatever. I'm sure they'll accept anything you want to bring. And Greg says, I'll be there at 5 on the dot. Then thanks. On the dot means right at 5 o'clock, not 1 second before, not 1 second later. Okay, we're at the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's talk about joining the school newspaper club now.
4. School Newspaper Club. Ross is explaining to new member Irene how the school newspaper club operates.
Welcome to the club, Irene. Let me give you a brief explanation of what we do.
Great. I'm eager to hear all about it.
It's not just writing articles. We also handle layout design, editing, photo pairing, and proofreading.
Oh, I didn't realize there were so many tasks involved.
Yes, and sometimes we even conduct special feature interviews that require contacting people outside of the school.
That sounds challenging, but also engaging.
Yeah, it's a big commitment, but our team works together on every aspect.
Well, I'm happy to take on the challenge.
Wonderful! With your enthusiasm, you'll make a great addition to the team.
第二部分看到名词 explanation， 它的意思是解释或是说明。例如 The teacher provided a clear explanation of the complex concept. 老师对这个复杂的概念提供了清楚的解释。也可以说 Officials could not offer an explanation for the power failure. 官员们对于停电无法提供说明。另外补充这个字的动词 explain, E-X-P-L-A-I-N, explain, 有解释、说明或是阐明的意思。举例来说 The story in the movie is not easy to explain. 这部电影中的故事不容易解释。或是 I explained to the teacher why I was late for class. 我向老师解释为什么我上课迟到。继续介绍名词 commitment， 表示投入或是奉献。我们可以说 Philip's strong commitment to animal welfare led him to volunteer at an animal shelter. Philip 对动物福祉的奉献让他自愿在动物收容所担任志工。再来补充这个字的动词 commit, C-O-M-M-I-T, commit， 意思是做违法或错误的事，也可以是犯罪或是犯错。可以这么说Joey was arrested because he committed a robbery. Joey 因犯下抢案而遭逮捕。或者 Samuel admits to having committed the crime. Samuel 承认是他犯下那项罪行。最后看到 enthusiasm 这个单字，它是名词，表示热忱或是热情。我们可以说 Harry's enthusiasm for soccer was obvious. Harry 对足球的热忱显而易见。也可以说 Mr. Kelly has great enthusiasm for poetry. Kelly 先生对诗歌充满热情。
Okay, we are back with our fourth school club that we're looking at. In our 4 dialogues, we've already looked at the basketball club, the guitar club, the photography club, and now it's the school newspaper club. Very interesting if you're interested in pursuing a career in journalism, being a reporter of some kind, especially a journalist who writes for a newspaper or a magazine or, of course, a website these days. Reporting on the news, this would be the club for you. So let's see who's interested and who has the information. explanation. It says Ross is explaining to new member Irene how the school newspaper club operates. Okay, so this is again a student-run organization. They might actually publish the school newspaper and put it out, give it out for free to the students, and they'll report on student activities, school news, teachers who are coming and going, new teachers who've retired, and of course all the activities of the students, the different groups that they have. They'll cover student sports, the school sports team, and things like that. So it's a very wonderful opportunity for kids to report on themselves, their friends, the school community that they're a part of, as a way of getting some experience in how you actually lay out and get a newspaper ready. Probably once a week or something like that, they publish a new edition. So this would be very cool for anyone who wants to be a journalist in the future. Ross, he says, welcome to the club, Irene. So he sees her. He might even know her from a class. He knows her name. He says, let me give you a brief explanation of what we do. When you explain things, what you are saying is an explanation. So if you don't understand something, you can ask someone or look up something on the internet to get more information, to have it explained to you, to have an explanation of that subject or topic.
Okay, so Irene says, great. I'm eager to hear all about it. She's enthusiastic. She wants to know what the club is all about. And Ross says, well, it's not just writing articles. So if you work for a newspaper or if you have a website that provides news, there's more to it than just writing articles. That still is very important. You need to gather your information. You need to interview people and put together your articles. But he goes on to say, we also handle layout design, editing, photo pairing, and proofreading. So these are different aspects of the newspaper club. You have layout design, how it's going to look on the page or on the web page, where you're going to put the pictures, the title, the actual article, etc., where you're going to put the advertisements if you have them. You've also got editing, when you decide what to keep and what to cut out. We've also got photo pairing, so you've got an article and you want to have a picture to go along with it. That's what photo pairing is all about, where you put the photo and where you put the caption and what you use as a caption or description under the photograph. And then we've got proofreading. Somebody's got to read through all the stuff to make sure there aren't any mistakes, because then it would be very embarrassing.
So there you go. As Irene says, oh, I didn't realize there were so many tasks involved. She might have thought you write a few articles, you put them in the paper, there you go, job done. No, there's a lot more to putting out a newspaper, and especially making it look professional, making it attractive for people to read, something that they want to pick up and spend some time with. So there's a little bit more to it than she thought. There are many more tasks involved. Ross says yes, and sometimes we even conduct special feature interviews that require contacting people outside of the school. Okay, so this is a little bit more like a real local newspaper. They'll do special feature interviews. Maybe there's a new mayor in town. Maybe there's a local store suddenly become famous or something like that. So they'll go out and interview people in the community. They will conduct these interviews. When you conduct something, you're basically doing something. It might be a bit more of a formal process. You can conduct a trial or something like that if someone gets in trouble with the law. So we would conduct an interview. Companies might conduct surveys if they're interested in finding out what people think of their products or something like that. And of course, scientists and others will conduct research. So it's probably a multi-step process. In this case, we're talking about arranging the interview, going to the interview, coming up with good questions, of course, first, going to the interview, and then editing the answers. All of that to get more information about the community. And this will require contacting or getting in touch with people outside of the school. A little bit more intimidating, maybe. For a student journalist, it's easy to walk up to a teacher or a classmate and stick a microphone in front of them and ask them some questions. But if it's a local VIP or a local business person or something, it could be a little more challenging, but also much more like what a real reporter does in their everyday job.
Right, it's wonderful if you can get an exclusive interview with somebody, an interview that nobody else has, and then you can publish the results in your newspaper or on your website. And Irene says that sounds challenging, but also engaging. So, of course, if you join this club, you want it to be challenging. You want it to give you certain kinds of challenges or things that are difficult to do, but you can learn from them. But she also says it's engaging, which means you can become involved in it personally, and you can learn learn things yourself, and you can actually affect other people, and you can make a contribution to society. And Ross says, yeah, it's a big commitment, but our team works together on every aspect. If something's a big commitment, that means you need to commit yourself. You need to sacrifice a lot of things for the good of the actual project itself. So yeah, it's a big commitment. You might have to give up some freedoms, like getting married is a big commitment. You're no longer single. You're no longer free. You now are responsible for that other person. It's a big commitment. Or getting a job is a big commitment, or whatever. But they all work together on every aspect, which means every part of the process of producing a newspaper. Again, the editing, the proofreading, etc. Those are all aspects of newspaper production.
So there you go. They'll work as a team on every part of it. You're never just on your own. It's a team game making a newspaper. So Irene says, well, I'm happy to take on the challenge. She's happy to do this. She's ready to make the commitment. She thinks she'll get a lot out of it, and she's willing to put a lot of time and effort into it as well. So this is all good news. Ross says, wonderful. He's happy to hear that, happy to have such an enthusiastic new person join the school newspaper club. With your enthusiasm, you'll make a great addition to the team. Okay, if you have enthusiasm, you have positive, passionate energy for something, you're believing in it, you're a team player, you're ready to sacrifice and work with everyone, and you're probably quite hopeful for good results in the end. So if you have enthusiasm, you're very keen, and you're definitely wanting to join in. So you'll make a great addition to the team. You'll be a great new team member because you have such enthusiasm. Sounds like they're going to have a really good time.
She will be a great reporter and a great journalist in the future. Okay, we're at the end of our explanation for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。在课文第一部分的对话里， Greg 来到摄影社的社办，询问关于社团的一些问题。那在对话过程中， Kate 有提到他们每年会和其他学校的摄影社共同举办户外拍摄和展览活动。 Greg 这时候说，Oh wow, what a cool opportunity to collaborate. 哇，那真是很棒的合作机会耶。这边他用到 what 开头的感叹句。那注意 what a cool opportunity 后方的不定词 to collaborate 是用来修饰前方的名词 opportunity 去表达合作机会。好，那现在我们就来学习感叹句。感叹句是用来表达热烈的喜悦、赞叹、惊讶、痛苦等等的情绪。用 what 引导感叹句的时候，后面要接名词。如果是单数可数名词，它的句型就会是 what, a 或 an 后面可以加个形容词或者是不加，然后加上名词，后面可以再加上主词或动词，或者是不加也可以。例如 What an adorable baby she is. 她真是个可爱的婴儿。或是 What a mess, 真是乱七八糟。 What a rude person, 真是个没有礼貌的人。好，那如果我们是搭配复数可数名词或者是不可数名词的话，它的句型会是 what， 接着可以加一个形容词或者是不加，然后加上复数可数名词或不可数名词，一样后面要不要加主词加动词都可以。例如 What nice people they are, 他们人真好。 What beautiful music, 真是优美的音乐。好，那顺便补充一下，如果我们是用 how 开头的感叹句，句型会是 how 加上形容词或副词，那后面要不要接主词加动词都可以。how 在这边是当副词，用来强调它后方的形容词或副词，去表达真是怎么样，多么怎么样。像 how terrible， 真糟糕。 How interesting this book is， 这本书真有趣。或是 how gracefully she dances， 她跳舞跳得多么优雅。好，那另外文中它有用到动词 collaborate， 它是指合作。我们来学它的字首字根。先看到 labor 这个字，它有工作啊、劳动、劳工、劳力的意思。那带有这个字根的字，多半就含有劳动、劳力的语义。好，那在 collaborate 这个字当中，它的字首 col 是来自 com 表示一起。那么 labor 是工作。ATE 是动词字尾，一起工作就表示合作，所以 collaborate 它有一起合作、共同合作的意思。那我们也补充一个有相同字根的单字是 elaborate， 它的字首 e 是来自 ex 表示彻底、 完全是做强调用。那么字根 labor 表示劳动 ate 它可以是动词字尾或形容词字尾。当我们做某件事做得很完全很彻底，应该可以联想到 elaborate 它有精心制作的语义。注意它当动词念作 elaborate 表示精心制作啊，详细说明。那当形容词的时候则是念作 elaborate 去表达精心计划的、精雕细琢的或是复杂的、繁复的。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Photography. Jeremy is taking a photography class because he wants to learn how to take better pictures. Explanation. Professor Moss found it difficult to give us a clear explanation of the complex concept. Conduct. We should conduct a survey of our classmates to help us decide what to do. Commitment. Roberta has shown great commitment by taking on challenging tasks. Aspect. We need to consider every aspect of the project carefully if we want it to be a success. Enthusiasm. Bill's enthusiasm for learning languages helped him get an A in English.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.